You don't lose relationships because you chose the wrong woman. You lose relationships because you stayed the same man while life kept changing you. And the brutal truth most men don't realize is this: the version of you that attracted her in the beginning is almost never the same version of you that can keep the relationship healthy years later. That is the quiet trap, because while you are thinking love is about loyalty and consistency, life is quietly pushing you through seasons of growth. And if you don't grow with those seasons, the relationship slowly suffocates under the weight of who you used to be. And the worst part is, most men don't notice the change until something breaks. They just know something feels different, something feels tense, something feels heavier, and they don't understand why. If you're the kind of man who wants to understand women, understand relationships, and understand yourself at a deeper level, subscribe now, not because you're desperate for advice, but because the men who learn how relationships actually evolve are the ones who stop repeating the same painful patterns. Now, let's talk about something most men were never taught. Growth inside a relationship doesn't happen randomly. It moves through seasons, just like life does. And when a man doesn't recognize the season he is in, he reacts the wrong way. He holds on when he should adapt. He pushes when he should slow down. He withdraws when he should lead. And slowly, the connection begins to fade. Let me show you what that looks like in real life. Picture a guy sitting at a small apartment kitchen table late at night, empty takeout boxes on the counter, his phone screen lighting up every few seconds, group chat messages, work notifications, but the one message he keeps checking for hasn't come. Her, and he's telling himself something he has told himself 100 times. She's just busy. She'll text later. It's not a big deal. But the silence feels heavier tonight because 2 years ago, she would have texted first. 2 years ago, she wanted to know where he was, what he was doing, how his day went. Now, the energy feels different. And this is where the first season quietly begins, not because love disappeared, but because growth has started. And here's what men don't realize. Every healthy relationship passes through 4 growth seasons, and each season demands a different version of the man. The man who thrives in the beginning isn't the same man who maintains stability later. The man who keeps the spark alive isn't the same man who builds long-term peace. The problem is, most men stay emotionally stuck in the first season, and that's why relationships begin to feel confusing. Let's slow down here, because if you understand these seasons, you stop panicking when things shift, you stop interpreting every change as rejection, and you start responding with maturity instead of fear. The first season is the season of attraction growth. This is the phase where everything feels easy, effortless, exciting. You meet someone and suddenly the world feels lighter. You notice the small things, the way she laughs, the way she texts you good morning, the way she leans into your shoulder during a movie. You feel chosen. And here's what men rarely admit out loud during this stage. You feel powerful. Not because you're controlling anything, but because her attention feels like validation. Your phone lights up. Your chest feels warm. Your confidence rises. Attraction is feeding your identity. But here's the psychological twist most men don't see. During this stage, both people are performing their best versions of themselves, not in a fake way, but in a hopeful way. You are both trying to create something. You dress better. You speak more carefully. You listen more. You show effort. And it works. But here's what men don't realize. Attraction is a temporary season, not a permanent environment. And this is where the first mistake begins. Men try to freeze the relationship in this phase. They try to keep the excitement exactly the same. But life doesn't allow that, because the second season always arrives, the season of comfort growth. Now imagine another scene, a couple sitting on a couch after a long workday. No music, no big conversation, just quiet. He's scrolling through sports highlights. She's scrolling through her phone. Nobody is trying to impress anyone else anymore. And a man might look at this moment and think something is wrong. He might think the spark is gone. But here's the deeper truth. Comfort is not the enemy of attraction. It's the next stage of connection. When comfort grows, masks disappear. And this is where relationships become real. Now you see each other when you're tired, when you're stressed, when work drains your energy, when you're not perfectly patient. impatient. And here's where many men panic, because comfort removes the constant validation they got from attraction. Now the compliments slow down, the excitement normalizes, and if a man doesn't understand this season, he starts chasing the first season again. He starts overcompensating, buying bigger gifts, trying harder to impress, trying to recreate early energy. But here's the quiet truth. Comfort is where emotional safety grows, and emotional safety is what allows long-term love to exist. Without it, attraction becomes exhausting. But here's where another hidden challenge appears. Comfort also exposes unresolved personal growth, because when two people relax into real life together, their habits become visible. Imagine a small argument in a kitchen, not a screaming fight, just tension. He forgot something she asked for. She responds sharply. His ego tightens. He goes quiet. She rolls her eyes. And suddenly the room feels colder. Now pause here. This is where the third season begins, the season of friction growth. This is the season most relationships fear, because friction reveals the parts of ourselves we haven't developed yet. For men, this is where emotional maturity is tested. Not strength, not intelligence, emotional stability. This is where your ability to stay calm during conflict becomes more important than your ability to impress during attraction. And here's what men often feel in this stage. Tightness in the chest, a spike of anger, a quiet shame after arguments, the replaying of conversations in their head later that night. Why did she say that? Why did I react like that? Why does everything feel harder now? But here's the deeper truth most men miss. Friction is not a sign that the relationship is failing. Friction is a signal that growth is required, because this stage forces two people to confront patterns, communication habits, emotional triggers, respect boundaries. And here's what men don't realize. If you develop emotional leadership here, the relationship becomes stronger than attraction ever was. But if you avoid growth, resentment begins to grow quietly. Picture a dinner with friends, everyone laughing, drinks on the table, music playing, and suddenly your partner makes a small joke about you. Everyone laughs, but inside, you feel something sharp. Not humiliation, but discomfort. Your mind says, "Was that necessary?" Now you're quiet for the rest of the night, driving home in silence. She senses the tension. You feel misunderstood. She feels confused. This is friction. And if a man reacts with ego, the relationship becomes a battlefield. But if he reacts with growth, something powerful happens. He learns to communicate without aggression. He learns to protect his dignity without attacking. He learns to lead emotionally instead of withdrawing. And when that happens, the relationship enters the fourth season, the partnership growth. This is where love stops being entertainment and becomes alignment. Now imagine another scene. Sunday morning, sunlight through the window, 2 cups of coffee on the table. No tension, no performance, just calm. A conversation about future plans, work decisions, travel ideas, family. Now the relationship is no longer about constant excitement. It's about stability and growth together. This is the stage where two individuals become teammates. But here's what many men misunderstand. Partnership does not mean losing your individuality. In fact, healthy partnership requires strong individual growth, because when a man stops growing personally, the relationship begins to carry his emotional weight, and that pressure slowly kills attraction. Picture a guy sitting in his car outside work, hands on the steering wheel, thinking about his relationship, thinking about his career, thinking about his identity, and realizing something. He hasn't grown much in the last 2 years. Same habits, same routines, same comfort zone, and slowly the relationship has started to feel stagnant. This is the quiet moment where many men either evolve or begin blaming their partner. But the truth is often simpler. Relationships mirror personal growth. When a man evolves, the relationship evolves. When a man stagnates, the relationship feels stuck. Now, here's the powerful shift I want you to understand. The 4 seasons of growth are not about fixing women. They are about evolving yourself. Attraction season teaches confidence. Comfort season teaches authenticity. Friction season teaches emotional leadership. Partnership season teaches purpose and stability. If you skip any of these lessons, relationships become fragile. Now imagine you're sitting in a sports bar with a friend, TV screens everywhere, crowd noise, your friend complaining about his relationship. She changed. She doesn't respect me anymore. She used to care. And maybe part of that is true, but another part of the story might be something else. He stopped growing. He stopped leading emotionally. He stayed in the same season while the relationship moved forward. And the worst part is, he didn't even notice. Now here's the identity shift I want you to take from this conversation. Stop asking, why did the relationship change? Start asking, what season am I in and what version of myself is required here? Because growth seasons demand different strengths, sometimes confidence, sometimes patience, sometimes humility, sometimes leadership. Next week, do something simple but powerful. Observe your relationship, not with judgment, with awareness. Ask yourself, are we in attraction, comfort, friction, or partnership? And once you recognize the season, respond accordingly. If it's attraction, enjoy it, but don't rely on it forever. If it's comfort, nurture emotional safety. If it's friction, develop calm communication. If it's partnership, focus on shared growth. And here's something important you should start doing immediately. Stop trying to win arguments. Start trying to understand emotional patterns. Stop assuming silence means rejection. Sometimes silence means reflection. Stop overreacting to small shifts. Growth seasons